When you saw the photograph of the top secret documents laid out on the floor at Mar-a-Lago, what did you think to yourself, looking at that image?
How that could possibly happen. How anyone could be that irresponsible. And I thought, what data was in there that may compromise sources and methods? By that I mean names of people who helped, or et cetera. And it's just totally irresponsible.
So irresponsible, and what was in there? I mean, it could have been nuclear codes, could have been a recipe for Coca-Cola, the original recipe. No one knows.
Okay, well, it would be weird and ironic if the President of the United States, when he was the Vice President of the United States, had taken classified documents and put them in a non-classified area, would it not? It'd be strangely hilarious if that turned out to be the truth. Oh, well, breaking news. According to CBS, Attorney General Merrick Garland has assigned the U.S. Attorney in Chicago to review documents marked classified that were found at the Penn. Guys, always remember, politics is Veep. Everyone is a moron. Documents that were marked classified were found at the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement in Washington. Two sources with knowledge of the inquiry told CBS News. The roughly 10 documents are from President Biden's vice presidential office at the center, the sources said. CBS News has learned the FBI is also involved in the U.S. Attorney's inquiry. Boom, 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 boom. Womp, womp from The Price is Right. Like, just well done. Joe Biden, mashed potatoes for brains. Terrible. You should never have classified documents outside of a classified area, says Joe Biden, who had classified documents outside of a classified area, outside of a safe area. The material was identified by personal attorneys for Mr. Biden on November 2nd, just before the midterm elections. Richard Salbert, special counsel to the president, confirmed. The documents were discovered when Biden's personal attorneys were packing files housed in a locked closet to prepare to vacate office space at the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C. Oh, you mean in a locked closet? But I thought that locked closets were bad. Like if it's a locked closet in Florida, that's super bad. And if it's a locked closet in Washington, D.C. at the Penn Biden Center, it's totally okay, apparently. I do love that they discovered this November 2nd. You'll recognize that November 2nd is before the actual election date, November 6th. And yet we only find out about this in mid-January of 2023. Might it have made a difference in the midterm elections if people had known that Joe Biden had a bunch of classified documents in his possession? We'll get to more on all this in just 1 second. First, Black Rifle Coffee Company. It is keeping me alive right now. We have a brand new puppy. I have 3 young kids. This means I'm up at all hours. And that means that when I wake up in the morning, I need coffee. I need my Black Rifle. Black Rifle Coffee Company set out on a mission to make the best cup of coffee to ever hit your mug. They wanted to sell enough premium coffee to be able to build a support network for veterans, first responders, and law enforcement. Thanks to your support, that dream has now become a reality. This year alone, your support has helped Black Rifle Coffee expand their team of active duty service members, veterans, and veteran family members. They were able to donate over 120,000 bags of coffee to veterans and first responders, all thanks to you. If you want to continue supporting this incredible company, head on over to blackriflecoffee.com. Use promo code Shapiro at checkout for 10% off your purchase and your first coffee club order. Black Rifle Coffee is roasted by a veteran-led team of brilliant coffee graders here in the United States. The coffee is amazing. I have it literally every morning. You go to blackriflecoffee.com to get started. Use promo code Shapiro for 10% off. You can also find Black Rifle Coffee in grocery and convenience stores near you. Black Rifle Coffee is America's coffee. Also, we're talking about how you keep your energy level up. We're talking about how you keep healthy. You need the veggies and you need the fruits, right? But it is a problem to get all the helpings you need of veggies and fruits during the course of a day. It's just very, very difficult. This is where Balance of Nature comes in. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies are the best way to make sure you're getting essential nutritional ingredients every single day. Their products are 100% whole food. Balance of Nature uses a cold vacuum process that preserves the natural phytonutrients in whole fruits and vegetables and encapsulates them for easy consumption. Balance of Nature sent a bunch of their product down to the studio for my team to try. We all love them. I've been using them myself because they are, in fact, kosher. When you are disciplined enough to take care of your health, you reap all kinds of benefits. More energy, less fatigue, better focus. Consuming the right balance of fruits and veggies every day is an important first step. Go to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Shapiro for 25% off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fiber and spice. That's balanceofnature.com. Promo code Shapiro for $25 off your first preferred order. Get healthier in a far easier way than guzzling fruits and veggies. Instead, head on over to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Shapiro. Get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus that free fiber and spice. The documents were contained in a folder that was in a box with other unclassified papers, the sources said. The sources revealed neither what the documents contain nor their level of classification. A source familiar with the matter told CBS News the documents did not contain nuclear secrets. Well, I mean, if that's the new standard, they have to contain nuclear secrets. By the way, I've seen no evidence that Donald Trump's documents actually contained nuclear secrets. There are all those rumors that he had nuclear secrets and they were being distributed, but none of that has been confirmed. Sauber also said that on the same day the material was discovered, November 2nd, the White House counsel's office notified the National Archives, which took possession of the materials the following morning. The discovery of these documents was made by the president's attorney, Sauber said. The documents were not the subject of any previous request or inquiry by the archives. Since that discovery, the president's personal attorneys have cooperated with the archives and the Department of Justice in a process to ensure that any Obama-Biden administration records are appropriately in the possession of the archives. Okay, so the distinction they're going to attempt to draw is that we discovered it and we handed it over, as opposed to Donald Trump, where it was discovered and he refused to hand it over. Okay, I will say that that is in fact a distinction. But you know what is true? Classified documents are out there floating around because politicians are irresponsible. Joe Biden is no exception to that rule. So when you have slow old Joe talking about how terrible it is, just pure irresponsibility to have these documents floating around outside of classified arenas, yeah, I don't take you seriously because I don't take any of you seriously. And it just goes to show, as always and forever, the narrative matters so much more than the fact pattern when it comes to media coverage of these events. If you just followed the fact pattern in the Mar-a-Lago case, the worst you could say about President Trump is that President Trump was clumsy and silly about how he took the documents home to Mar-a-Lago and that he's a stubborn guy. But all of the wild media narrative and speculation about how Donald Trump was actually a spy for the Ruskies and working for Putin, all of that, of course, was designed to tie into a prior narrative. And that narrative, as it turns out, was also a lie. It's like a daisy chain of lies from the media. They create a lying narrative, and then they back up that lying narrative with another lying narrative, which is followed by a third lying narrative. So if you'll recall, this is all part of the broader lying Russian narrative, which is also being debunked today. Okay, so the first move in the Russia has affected America narrative was that the 2016 election was decided on the basis of Donald Trump coordinating with the Russians in order to skew the election results. And there are a few problems with this. One, they could actually prove no evidence of coordination between Donald Trump and the Russians. The best that they had was Donald Trump out there doing what he did in public, saying things like, I wish that Vladimir Putin would release all of the WikiLeaks. We love WikiLeaks. And everybody going crazy over that. And yes, the president of the United States should not be in favor of the release of classified materials by a foreign enemy, but Donald Trump was not actively coordinating with Putin. He was out there saying stuff because that's what Donald Trump used to say. And so what the media spun that up into, of course, was Donald Trump is actively colluding with the Russians to steal the election. Because they had to come up with some explanation for why Hillary Clinton had lost to a real estate mogul. They couldn't believe that Hillary had lost, so they concocted this entire narrative in which Russia had manipulated the American election, and this required them to work with the FBI to push forward a complete bullcrap Oppo dossier, the Steele dossier, and to use that dossier as the predicate for surveilling people like Carter Page, who were tangentially associated with the Trump campaign, and then launch a several years Mueller investigation costing tens of millions of dollars into the connections between Donald Trump and Russia. And the pure proof that they had that the election had been affected. They had no proof that Trump had coordinated with WikiLeaks or coordinated with Putin. So they had to come up with something. And the something they came up with was that on Facebook, the Russians had manipulated the American process. So maybe that wasn't Trump's direct fault, but it was Facebook's direct fault. So after 2016 and after Trump won, it exploded their worlds. They came up with all these narratives. Trump was colluding with the Russians were working with Facebook. Facebook didn't shut any of this down. So we need to shut down control of social media. Social media must be brought to heel. We must bring the methods of informational dissemination back under our own control. And so one of the huge narratives coming out of 2016 is that social media, which heretofore had been seen as an unmitigated good in politics, you'll recall that in 2012, Barack Obama was being widely feted for his use of social media in order to get people to the polls. His unprecedented use of analytical data garnered from social media like Facebook. This was considered an act of genius. When Cambridge Analytica did the same thing for Trump in 2016, suddenly it was an act of criminality. And the Russians, we were told, had used Facebook in order to manipulate American public opinion. And that was why Hillary Clinton had lost the election. It wasn't that she was the worst candidate in American history. I mean, it would take the worst candidate in American history to lose to Donald Trump, who was at the time the second most unpopular politician in America, running against the first most unpopular politician in America. No, the solution, they said, is that the Russians had somehow manipulated Facebook into changing the minds of the American people. Now, I pointed out at the time that the amount of interference they were talking about from the Russians, the Russian memery, this really bad memory, much of it misspelled in bad American English, that had almost no impact, like at all, on the vote. If you looked at the amount of actual virality to the Russian posts, it did not exist. The entirety of Russian viewership, of the Russian material was less than the viewership of my personal Facebook page in a single month. That did not shift the election any more than I shifted the election in 2016. Significantly less, I would imagine, than I shifted the election in 2016. The Russians, however, this was the narrative, because the media always have the narrative. So they have the narrative that it was Russian interference prompted by Trump. And then the Russians acted on behalf of Trump with Facebook. So we have to shut down Facebook. And we have to curb its dissemination of information. And the only way to do that is to get them to stop allowing for the spread of information from places like Daily Wire or Daily Caller or Breitbart or Fox News. And then that turned into Russia's collusion with Trump never stopped. That's why Trump was stealing documents. That's why Trump was putting those classified documents in the closet. Well, now it turns out pretty much all these politicians have classified documents in the closet. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into the rap battle between Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Dr. Dre. Plus, the New York Times whining so much about why Ron DeSantis won't talk to them. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click the link in the description and join us.